weeks ago, when we began talking about this, the senior high youth and I looked at the birth narratives found in Scripture and compared them to the modern day image of that very special night. The first thing they found is that nowhere in Scripture does it pinpoint the exact day of the birth. Next, despite the proclivity of surrounding the Holy Family with animals, they found that no animals are actually mentioned as being there either. And as for the people who showed up and witnessed that night's events, they found only a couple of shepherds made the journey to where the baby lay. As for the manger, they learned that it can be more than just a little feeding trough that we always see. The word is also used to describe a stall or a crib in which the food is placed, or a ledge where the food can be laid so it is not placed upon the floor. One of the more interesting things that was noted was that the shelter we traditionally have for holiday imagery is most likely a modern interpretation, in that most animals were not kept in a pristine wooden structure, but in the lower level of the home or a nearby cave. At the end of our exercise, after seeing the hallmark image of the night God's love entered the world in a new and wonderfully powerful way, was that not one found in Scripture that story in the way we have come to know it. And one of the youth asked me, well, what then can we believe in the Bible? My answer, believe what's really in the Bible, not what people say it is. Now, I'm not suggesting we take everything in the Bible literally, because frankly, there are some pretty crazy things the Bible would have us do, such as cutting off limbs, stoning someone to death, or enslaving one who is in debt to us until they can pay, just to name a few. On the other hand, too, though, we have turning the other cheek while somebody is hitting us, giving our sweater to someone who has just stolen our coat, unconditionally forgiving those who hurt us, or selling everything we have and giving the proceeds to care for those in need, can all be equally daunting and disturbing. With extremes like these, what in the Bible do we believe? My guess is that most of us believe what we have been taught. The problem is that what we have been taught has come through the lens of how the teacher views the subject matter. We trust that the teacher is trained and knowledgeable and telling us like it is. But the truth is, as many of us have learned over the years, some are better trained and more knowledgeable than others. And sometimes facts don't matter as much as personal opinions. To complicate things even further, we remember what we've been taught to varying degrees. And because we took what was said as a truth, often without doing our own research, our understandings are likely incomplete. And we tend to fill in the holes with what feels right to us. Something our youth learned with the hallmark had done so effectively when it came to the imagery of the Nativity. But this is nothing new, is it? We heard last week that Israel had difficulty accepting the message of the prophets because the truths the prophets shared conflicted with the truths that were passed down to them through those entrusted to hold on to and teach God's truth. We know that looking back, that these same trusted individuals taught what they believed was the most important and interpreted the truths that they were entrusted with through a very human lens. And in doing so, the people were left with an incomplete understanding of what a relationship with God looks like. And in actually their view of faithfulness to this relationship was in conflict with reality, what God had hoped for. And Isaiah's been trying to help Israel see this all this time. And yet Israel struggles to understand his imagery. How can one hope for something in the midst of despair? Yet that's what Isaiah tells the people of Israel to do. In the midst of darkness, Isaiah tells them, look to the light. Seek the grace in their midst that will lead them back into right relationship with God and one another. He knew if they did not look for it, they would not see it. Even if it surrounded them. Which, by the way, Isaiah tells them it does. For those who see the light, seeing it was not enough. One had to enter into the light to know it. And by entering into it, one would know peace and hope in the midst of chaos and suffering. We see today's passage from Isaiah as a prophecy of the light that was to come into the world. A prophecy the New Testament says was fulfilled in the birth of Jesus. Through the incarnation, light and grace, once invisible, was no longer something they had to imagine, but was now visible for all with eyes to see it. The first to see the light, we were told, were simple shepherds. But the light was not for them alone. The light was meant and is meant for all who would receive it. So we have the wise men, coming from a faraway land, who's seeking the light. Notice it's rising. And following the advice of Isaiah, they get up. And they follow that light, seeking it not for its power or for what they might receive, but to give thanks and to acknowledge the light, once seemingly far off, has now come near. The Feast of Epiphany is not a time for us to just sit still. It is a time to hear the words of Isaiah anew. Arise, shine, for our light has come. The glory of the Lord has risen upon us. Isaiah is still telling us today to stop what we are doing and to look. Look so that we might see the light that shines in darkness. And then to get up and draw closer to it. Follow it to a place where darkness no longer has power over us. Will our journeys be free of danger or sorrow? Not hardly. But we know that we do not take this journey alone. The light remains with us always, even in those times when we close our eyes. We have a choice. We can be like Herod, who feared the light because his understanding of what the light offered was incomplete. Or we can be like the wise men and seek it. As for me, I seek the light because there is no hope in fear, only anguish. I'm reminded of one of our parish's favorite hymns. Ask, and we shall receive. Seek, and we shall find. Knock, and the door will be open. Ask, seek, knock. These are all words of action. action, not passivity. So I encourage each of us to rise and shine, to show the world the light that has entered into each of us. Light that guides us back into right relationship with God and with one another. Light that reveals the depth of God's love for us. Light that from atop the cross overcame the power of darkness forever. I've seen this light, and it changed my life. Look up. Let it change yours. Here's our challenge. Let each of us help someone else to see this light too. Not by sitting here in the pews waiting for them to come to us, but by going where they are and helping them see the light shines not only inside the four walls of our building, but shines upon them wherever they may be, and that offers to lead them to a place and relationship where they too can know the depth of God's love in their lives. Epiphany is not a time to sit back and be amazed, but a time to go out into the world and show others the light we see. Not sure how to do this? Afraid that your own incomplete understanding of what a relationship with God looks like might somehow hold you back? Then join one of our Bible studies. Take my Inquirers class next month. Seek, and you will find. And when you find it, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with others so that they might find it and know it too. Amen.
Amen.